Hi, I'm Mike Soskil from Newfoundland, Pennsylvania in the United States, and I want to tell you a little bit about the impact that being named a top 50 finalist for the Global Teacher Prize has had. First, let me say what an incredible honor it is to be included among this group of teachers. I've read their biographies and I've read what they're doing, and I am so inspired by the passion that they show and the dedication they have to their students and the impact that they've had on the profession that I love. These 49 other educators exemplify everything that is great about teaching, and I feel so incredibly blessed that I've gotten the chance to be inspired by them. You know, unfortunately, too often, the narratives that are told about teachers around the world focus on things that are negative. And for every one of those negative stories, for every one of those stories of things that have gone wrong, there are thousands of examples of amazing things that teachers are doing that go untold. And the Global Teacher Prize is allowing some of those stories to be highlighted. I've come to understand this is the real power of the Global Teacher Prize. It's allowing great teaching to be celebrated. You know, it's shining a spotlight on great things that teachers do and highlighting outstanding teaching practices. And it's connecting educators so that they can create even more wonderful learning opportunities for students. Since the finalists were released in December, I've had countless teachers from all over the world contact me to offer their congratulations and support. And almost every one of them has encouraged me to keep sharing examples of what's possible when teachers and students connect with each other to create positive change in the world. Because you see, the examples and the stories that I share are their stories. Every teacher I know chose this profession because they wanted to help students become the world leaders of tomorrow. Teachers teach because they want to help their students reach their full potential. And the examples and stories that I tell don't just help educators. They help other people in the community also see the great things that teachers are doing. I bet if you asked any successful person in any walk of life, they could point back to one or two teachers that they had that showed them the way, that showed them what it was that they had inside themselves to be successful. I know that's true for myself. I think back to my own teachers. You know, as far back as elementary school, I know Mr. Epstein at the Gotham Avenue School in New York, who introduced me to computer programming before computers even had color screens. And that was fantastic, and I learned a lot from him. But the best part about Mr. Epstein was that he was always eager to discuss our favorite episodes of The Twilight Zone that were on TV, because we had a personal connection. He knew me as a person and not just as someone that he had to deliver content to. You know, I think of Mrs. Babcock, who, you know, when I would have crazy answers and think of things that were outside the box, would encourage me instead of telling me to find the one right answer. You know, she taught me critical thinking. I think of Mr. Schaffmaster in high school, who was my German teacher, who taught me that if I look at global issues from different points of view, from the points of view of people in other countries, that it would make me better at identifying solutions to those problems. You know, that was invaluable to me. That showed me what great teaching looked like. And I think of Anita Box, who was my mentor when I first entered the profession. You know, and unfortunately, Anita passed a couple of years ago, but she was enormously influential on my career. She showed me that focusing on every individual student's needs and focusing on inspiring students rather than delivering content made all the difference in the world. And that's something that I've carried with me throughout my entire career. That's something that I've wanted to do for my students, to make sure that I know them as individuals, that I'm reaching what they need in the classroom. Having the opportunity to share these stories of teachers that have inspired me, either in the past, or teachers that I'm working with, or teachers around the world that I'm in contact with, has been the biggest impact of the Global Teacher Prize. You know, recognition of my work feels great, but I'm also so grateful that I get to highlight others. Others that inspire me every day. I get to be their messenger. And that feels really good.